Speaking of amazing devices, they also introduced the HoloLens, which attested to my inner geek. Are people actually going to use this?
Yes. I'm going to jump in here. I'd love one. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think from a business benefit perspective, I struggle with it. I can see some value. But if you look back at what happened with Connect, we've moved from this mouse and keyboard, we've moved into this touch world, and I think we've made the transition quite well. People are very much into touchscreen now. Whether that be phones, whether that be tablets, whether it be laptops with touchscreens, touch is becoming part of our life. The move from there to Connect with gesture, we saw really good examples in manufacturing, in clinical environments, and we saw some good examples that are working, but we never really see wide-scale adoption. I think it would be quite funny to walk into an office and see lots of people sitting around their desks, waving their hands in the air while they're doing things on their computer. I think when we look at what's happened now with the HoloLens, from a gaming perspective, I just think it'll be absolutely fantastic. We go back to the late 80s, early 90s with virtual reality, with people putting on virtual reality helmets and playing dodgy 3D games that were of no use to anybody. And you think about what we can do now. I think that they'll be fantastic, and I would love one. Practical business use right now, maybe something in manufacturing to do with some 3D printing, maybe something to do with design and taking people on a journey, through maybe a building or a street or a shop or something like that. But I don't know. I think we're a few years away from really seeing any mainstream use for it.
And I totally agree, and I think the areas where it could be adopted in business are very, very slim, and we saw some examples of kind of architectural and kind of doing building walkthroughs and kind of walking on the planet Mars for the NASA guys. So there are some kind of use adoption cases, but they're going to be so small in terms of wider spread business. But I think in terms of the gaming world, then certainly it opens up a huge area in terms of this idea of the real true 3D gaming idea. But we're seeing this year, obviously, we're seeing Oculus Rift will finally come to market in a major way, which has been in development for ages and ages and ages as well. And we're also seeing PlayStation with Project Morpheus, which is going to come to market, all the same idea. So they're all kind of 3D gaming and bringing that type of technology and holographic imagery into the home. And really, I think is where it's going.
I do slightly worry the impact that it's going to have on social interaction, because it's bad enough now when you go into restaurants or bars or sitting at home and the whole family are sitting there tapping away on their phones or their tablets or their laptops. But at least they're still in the same room engaging in some way, shape or form. I think suddenly when you clip a device into your head and take yourself out of all reality, a room full of people sitting there with devices clipped to their heads in their own little world, I think it's gonna change social interaction incredibly. And I do see that as a bit of a concern, especially when you look at the kids nowadays, about how much they've sort of tuned out of reality as it is, with the whole world of apps and devices at their fingertips.
Okay, so recently we've seen people using multiple devices. They're using tablets, they're using phones, they're using computers, laptops, and now two-in-ones. What do you think that people will be using as their main device in the future? Is it one of those, or is it maybe something else? Maybe even HoloLens. What do you think it's going to be?
I think certainly we've seen lots of different devices being tried, and we've seen probably over the last 3 or 4 years we've started to see obviously iPads within business, and it isn't a fantastic business tool. It's pretty good for things like email and internet and one or two other areas, but it's really struggled to become a proper business tool. I think with Microsoft's first effort into that marketplace with the early Surface devices, they weren't perfect either. They kind of missed a trick, and they weren't a brilliant touch device. But with products like the Surface 3, they've started to now create a device which is truly able to be changed from a powerful laptop device into a proper tablet. And this is the first generation we've really seen of those type. Now, obviously there's not just Microsoft who've been in that space, so you've got HP and every man and his dog manufacturing good quality transformer type devices, and I think that's ultimately where the business marketplace will be. We know people will still want to use their phone, because when you're out of the office you don't want to be carting the device with you every single time, but these devices are now ultra portable. They're big enough screens so they're actually usable as a laptop device when you're on the move, and then obviously when you're in the office you're plugging it in and docking it, and you're getting the benefits of larger screens and sort of separated keyboards and mouse, etc. So I think for me that's probably where the marketplace is heading now, certainly from a business perspective.
Yeah, it's interesting really, because I think what we've seen happen over the years is laptops have turned into two-in-ones, so the screen comes off to make it effectively a tablet. Tablets have got smaller, phones have got bigger, and that created the new phenomenon, the phablet, which sort of sat in the middle, which was great. I think you can buy a phone or a tablet in every size. I'm not sure when it stops being a phone, becomes a phablet, stops being a phablet, becomes a tablet. And then obviously, like I say, you've got the laptops and the two-in-ones. I think what would be really interesting for me as technology evolves, and I think it was Samsung who tried this some time ago, is the whole concept of a single device. So whether it be a mobile phone that runs everything that you need for your day-to-day use, when you sit down at your desk, you can dock your mobile phone, that becomes all the compute, all the power, works from a screen and keyboard. When you want to use it to a tablet, you can slot it into a tablet. So effectively, you're taking all of the intelligence and all the brains out and holding it in one device. Gives you one thing to carry around, and then just using different methods to interact with it, whether it be touch enabled on the device itself, whether it be plugged into a screen and keyboard, whether it be slotted into a tablet with a detachable keyboard. So getting away from this need to charge multiple devices all the time. Now I think we're a way off in terms of power consumption and in terms of actual compute power, but I mean I think that's ultimately where we've got to get to, because I know for myself I carry around 3 or 4 devices. That's 3 or 4 different chargers. You have to make sure that they're each charged, and I do different things on all of them. And Windows 10 will help, because that will give us a bit more of a continuum across the devices, but ultimately I'd just like to get to the point where I've got one device, and then I could use whatever screen size, whatever method of interacting with I want, and just carry one charger to power it up.
And I think that's to add to that, we certainly see today in the marketplace that people, particularly for home use, are using multiple devices. And in business use, realistically, could I live with just my phone and my laptop? I probably could, but I choose to use kind of a tablet sometimes when I'm at home to access stuff. And I've obviously got a laptop at home as well, and I've just ordered a mini 7-inch device as well. So I'll have 5 devices that I'll interact with on a regular basis, which seems ridiculous. And Steve's exactly right.
One in every size.
One in every size, as Steve was saying before. And I think if we can get to that ultimate utopia of it's one device and it is a mobile phone-sized device, but then you're kind of almost stretching that out to a screen that you want to use when you're on the move as a tablet size, or you can make it larger when you're in the office. That is the ultimate utopia. And seeing some of the technologies that were demonstrated through HoloLens, particularly, where the guy kind of draws a 60-inch plasma on the wall and sits down to watch Netflix on an imaginary screen, is an incredible idea. Whether it would work in a practical sense is debatable, but that idea that we can just draw a tablet, a device wherever we want it and use it, I'm sure move technology on 5-10 years time, we will start to see that type of technology.
And the things people are doing now with flexible screens and screens that you can roll up and put away and stuff like that, as that becomes better and touch enabled, I think that'll work. I think the one thing for me that needs solving soon is battery life.
Yeah.
Because across every single device, it doesn't matter what it is, a day maximum. I go back to the days of the Nokia's 5 or 6 days of battery life, and you never needed to charge it, whereas you almost have to carry a charger with you everywhere, and every spare opportunity you get, you need to plug it in to get yourself a boost in battery. And that's something I think that needs solving quickly.
I think I'm going to get my fridge to answer my emails, I think, in 5 years' time.